Well, joining us now, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, the Chief Scientist of the World Health Organization. She joins us from Geneva. Thanks, ma'am, very much for being with us. We are also joined at this stage by a young Indian student who joins us from Iran, where there are lots of Indians studying over there. Thank you very much as well. Dr. Swaminathan, let me come to you first. This is now at the highest level of the WHO. In simple terms, what is it that we are staring at? What is the worst case scenario right now?
So Vishnu, what we are seeing now is that this virus is circulating in every continent of the world and in every WHO region, I think except Antarctica. So it has really gone beyond the outbreak in China to have affected, I think the numbers are just increasing almost by the hour, but we have about 66 countries today affected. So I think the response globally also needs to change with the changing epidemic. And that is why WHO has now raised the level of risk to the highest possible level of risk globally. It means every country now needs to prepare for cases. Whether they have it today or not doesn't matter. Eventually it may reach every country, and this is the time to really prepare. I think we got some time because of the measures that China put in place, the travel restrictions that they put in place on their own citizens gave us a few weeks, but eventually this virus has managed to get and spread across different countries, and so that is why WHO is now telling countries to really take it very seriously.
Dr. Swaminathan, a question which a lot of people are asking, because we get so many calls from our viewers and people emailing, is that where's the cure? Why isn't there a cure? Is it possible to have a cure? So what's the scientific answer to that?
This is a new virus. We have to remember that before December, we did not know about the existence of this virus. Of course, we know about other coronaviruses from the same family, and people will remember the SARS outbreak and the MERS outbreaks that we've had in the past. But this particular variant is a completely new virus. It's neither SARS, nor MERS, nor influenza, nor any other coronavirus. So scientists are working around the clock. And in fact, right now I'm in a meeting where we are looking at the research priorities, what's going on globally today, and how soon we can expect to have answers. It's quite natural people want to know more. But the fact is today that we are still learning on a day-by-day basis on how this virus behaves. And at the moment, there are many clinical trials going on to test different antiviral agents and other therapies. And of course, vaccines are still far away. Urgent priority was to get the diagnostics done, because that's what you need right at the beginning to make sure that people get diagnosed. And luckily today, with the advances in biotechnology, the moment the genetic sequence of the virus was known, it was possible almost overnight to create the diagnostics. So I think people should not panic. This virus on the whole affects most people with just like a mild respiratory infection. But of course, there are those who get severely ill, and we do need to be prepared to treat them as well.
Dr. Swaminathan, in a situation like this, when we need scientific solutions to a medical crisis, when you get, in our country, for example, in India, BJP MLAs in Assam saying things like urine and cow dung can be beneficial in fixing something like coronavirus, COVID-19. Don't we actually end up taking a step back, because we need to be dealing with this in a modern scientific manner?
I completely agree. I think all public figures and politicians should be extra careful about the statements they make, because of course they have such a huge following. And so it's really important to say things that are based on some scientific evidence and rationale. This includes things like using protective equipment and masks, which, by the way, ordinary people don't need to wear masks if you're healthy and you're not in contact with anyone with the disease. And also claims of cures of this infection. I think we have to be extremely careful about the statements that we make in public. It should be made by people who know what they're talking about, and it has to be backed by evidence.
Dr. Swaminathan, in terms of trends, is there a declining trend in China? That's a claim which has been made by some of their leaders. Is that the case?
Yes, there is clearly a declining trend in China. In fact, in the provinces outside Hubei province, there have been just a handful of cases detected every day over the last week or so. So it's very obvious there. But even in Hubei province, the number of both suspected cases and confirmed cases has really come down. And it shows that the measures that they used on quarantine, isolation of patients, social distancing, etc., have paid off.
And therefore, your concerns now, I presume, would be Iran, would be Italy as well, South Korea. What are some of your biggest concerns in these countries? Are they not doing as much as they should be to control the outbreak?
I think our biggest concerns is that this virus gets into countries with weak and fragile health systems, because that is where if we're not in control, then things can go terribly wrong. In terms of Iran, yes, they've had a very good primary healthcare system, but there has been some weakening of the health systems due to the sanctions that have been imposed on them. But they're doing their best. So is Korea and Italy. So all measures are being taken, and WHO is working in each of these countries with the ministries of health there. Again, it's concerning if it gets into Africa. Right now, we have only two countries reporting one case each, Algeria and Nigeria. But if it goes into other countries, which have very limited capacity, both for diagnosis as well as for surveillance and follow-up, that's our real worry. And we're really working hard to strengthen those health systems so that they can respond if and when the virus does show up there.
Dr. Swaminathan, in terms of how India has been handling the situation, there have been 5 confirmed cases and 1 likely case which has been reported today in Jaipur. Of that, 3 people are okay now and they've been released. So it's 2 confirmed cases and 1 likely case. For a country as large as us, is India doing relatively well in controlling the spread of the coronavirus?
Yes, I think overall our surveillance and our response has been quite robust, especially the initial wave of people who came from China, and then subsequently India has been testing people who've been traveling from the affected regions at the airports, quarantining some of them, doing the follow-up, the contact surveillance. But I think as we move into this new phase of the virus, where there seems to be community transmission in many countries, over the last week, we've seen several countries, suddenly seeing community transmission. India also needs to perhaps think about what other kinds of surveillance to be put in place. For example, we need to have a very high index for looking out for healthcare workers who may be getting sick with influenza-like illness. India could consider doing COVID-19 screening for amongst viral pneumonia or influenza cases which turn out influenza negative. So there could be other measures put in place just to make sure that we're not missing any kind of transmission that may be happening in the community, because people could have come in asymptomatic. One of the things about this virus is that temperature screening at airports is not going to pick up everybody who's infected. And so people could come in without even knowing they have the infection and then unknowingly be spreading it. So it's important to also look out at places other than at ports of entry.
One final question, Dr. Swaminathan. This obviously gets carried to a large extent by individuals who get on aircraft, travel to another part of the world. Is it necessary for airlines or governments to actually quarantine or try and quarantine those who may have been on a flight where a COVID-19 patient has been detected, perhaps after the flight, after they missed the initial screening, which, as you point out, is not foolproof?
There does need to be a way of tracking them. It's not perhaps necessary to quarantine them all in a facility, but being able to track them, tell them what to expect, perhaps ask them to self-quarantine within their homes and then report immediately as soon as they have any symptoms. I think that's an important follow-up action that needs to be done, and it is possible now that we will see more such instances happening.
Yeah. One final question. A lot of people are worried, they're scared, and perhaps we should be scared to a certain extent. But to prevent a panic, what is your message to our viewers?
Well, the messages are, I think, that this because it's a new virus, it's natural to be a little bit fearful because you don't know what to expect. But I think we've got 90,000 people who've become sick or diagnosed from this now globally, and we know quite a lot of what's happened in China. It's clear that about 80% of infections are mild. It's just like a mild flu or a common cold, and about 15% get more severe and need hospitalization, and then a much smaller percentage really become critically ill. And this is usually people who are older than 60 years and those who have other underlying lung conditions or diabetes and so on.
Right.
So for the vast majority of people, even if they catch this infection, they're not going to get very sick.
Right.
And so I think that's the first thing to calm the panic. Second thing is you can do simple things like wash your hands, don't touch your face too much with your hands, because this is a droplet infection and it spreads either by direct contact with somebody who's infected or from surfaces. So washing the hands frequently or using some kind of a alcohol-based sanitizer for the hands. If people are sick with a cough and cold, they should stay at home, and they are the ones who should be wearing a mask so that they don't transmit it to others. And then try to avoid crowded places if you're sick. And then, of course, the hospitals and health facilities need to follow a different set also of procedures to make sure they're isolating the suspected cases. So I think we have to keep on repeating the message that we shouldn't panic. There is, in fact, the stock markets shouldn't be panicking as well, but then that's a different issue. But right now what is needed is essential and basic public health measures till we have better tools to both prevent and treat this infection.